Hello and welcome to the Bike Show once again. This week we're coming to you from the enormous KTM dealership known as Rad KTM, probably the biggest in the country. We'll be speaking to the guys who run this thriving business later in the show. But first off, we're going to kick off with a South African launch. And suitably enough, it's of KTM's latest off-road models. Donovan went to check them out.
Now, we've done a fair amount of KTM on this show. We've looked at their adventure bikes, particularly their new 1290 Super Adventure. We've had a look at the 1290 Super Duke, the mighty Super Duke that won our Bike of the Year last year. We've also had a look at some of the baby KTMs, the 390s, the RC and the Duke, of which we're mostly unimpressed because they weren't around when we were youngsters. However, today we're going to look at something else. We're going to look at where KTM has its roots, where all of this spawned on, from where KTM cut their teeth. And that is, of course, their off-road bikes. In particular today, we're looking at the new 2016 motocross bikes. Now, you can't just ride these things. You need to have a chiseled jaw. You need to have muscles carved in marble. You need to have balls of steel. And we have none of those things. So what we did is we got two of our friends to help us. And they happen to be brothers. May I present Grant and Ryan Frericks. Guys, before I say anything, the 2016 bikes, when we arrived here, we've got the nice 450, 250, 350, but you were both interested in the 125. What's that about?
That's what happens when you're semi-retired. All you look forward to is the small bike that you can have fun on the most. So, yeah.
You also 125. Is this a nostalgia?
Yeah, it's a bit of nostalgia and gives you a bit of hero status. You can wring that thing's neck and nothing's going to happen.
Because I mean, you guys started out on two-strokes, as most people did. It's all gone four-stroke now, but KTM is still doing the two-stroke thing.
Yeah, it's awesome to have KTM still developing their two-strokes. I mean, Yamaha still makes them, but they don't really develop it. Every now and then they change the plastics, but you know, the heart of the bike's still the same. So it's really nice to be able to ride a two-stroke.
That's bold new graphics.
Exactly that. It's really nice to be able to ride a bike that's still being developed. It's still got all the fancy suspension and all that.
Yeah. Now tell me, okay, it's amazing the development going through these bikes. I mean, 10% less weight, 10% more power on average on all of them. Is that felt? Can you really feel that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'd say definitely you can. When we sat in the press room and they were going through all the technology that's gone into the bikes, it's it's a lot of numbers that they throw around and you're not sure if you're actually going to feel it out on track. And the bikes definitely do feel lighter. They accelerate quite quickly. They're easy to put into the right line.
Lighter. You told me earlier this is the first time you've actually ridden a KTM motocross bike. You've been on Japanese bikes your whole life, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
And what's it like? I mean, getting on one of these things for the first time.
There's a strange feeling of it does feel not Japanese, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. It just does have a little bit of a different feeling and a bit of a different sound. But
every time we ask Grant, he says they feel a bit weird.
It's probably a combination between like the hydraulic clutch and it's just a different sort of setup, the different forks, the Kamali frame.
It's got a steel frame, though, whereas all the Japanese use aluminium frames. I mean, is there a big difference there?
Well, it's not really a difference that you can feel. It's not that you're riding around and you're feeling, okay, this frame is better, sort of thing. It's just a different sort of feeling, and it works. It works on the KTM.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's why they've stuck with it. You don't change something that's not broken.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that with the white power suspension as well, which is something specific just to the European brands, is a little bit of a contributing factor.
Now, you aren't the tallest riders. One thing about these new bikes is that they're lower. They've actually got a lower seat height. Did that help anything at all?
Yeah, the whole ergonomics of the bike is quite a bit different. It felt a little bit wider for me, and it feels like you're sitting, although the seat's lower, it feels like you're sitting on top of the bike, which is quite nice. You're not in a relaxed couch sort of position. So it feels like you can attack quite nicely, which is always a good thing. When you feel like you can attack, that means you can attack.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Like Ryan said to me earlier, he felt like on the 250 he could push it, and he never really found his limit. Obviously there always is a limit, but he could feel like he could ride in his capabilities the whole time, which is always good.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. As soon as I got on it, it didn't feel like I was doing anything that was going to become dangerous or anything. I could just keep on pushing, try and go faster and faster, and it didn't do anything weird or didn't get out of control.
But that is a good feeling, isn't it? That's what a rider wants.
That's exactly what any rider wants.
Okay, these bikes, I mean, they've been 2016 model motocross bikes. They've been reworked from the ground up. basically nothing is new on them, am I right? Well,
no,
sorry, nothing is
everything's-
old on them.
Exactly, yeah.
Sheesh.
Quite correct, yeah. Nothing's old, everything's new. That's,
Yeah.
I think, what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we had to go nuts and bolts, basically, it's the hoops on the wheels that
Yeah.
are maybe similar to
And they
last
still
year.
kept
Everything
them
else
black,
is different. Black,
which is
correct,
brilliant because that
exactly.
silver just looks terrible, let's be honest.
100%. It's got to look factory. It's a
But I mean,
KTM.
all right, now where the road market is saying, "Ah, let's see how much technology we can put on our bikes, how many electronics, and we can all brag about ABS. Motocross is still old school. What they've done with these bikes is make them faster, more powerful, and lighter. They're 10% more horsepower, 10% less weight, roughly. Is that right?
Yeah, you could basically say across the range. I mean, obviously the
Yeah.
biggest gain in weight savings on the 450 and the least amount in the 125. It stands to reason because obviously the
Well, it's
450
a
is the biggest
percentage, yeah.
bike, exactly.
But the 450 is now 100 kilograms.
Yeah.
We're using the word mental a lot, but I mean, that is mental. That's nothing.
Well, I think it's really light, yeah?
Yeah.
But when you add the fact that it's about 61, 62 horsepower, when you look at power to weight ratio, yeah, now it's mental, yeah. It's just been the buzzword radically new. So yeah, I mean, if you look stylistically, the bike ergonomically is totally different. The engines are lighter, smaller, lower, narrower. You know, the thing is we can bore you for hours and hours. There's that much tech that's gone into these bikes. Also bear in mind, they've been on the drawing board for probably 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So everything is at cutting edge when it comes to technology. Ready to race is our pay line. It's what we're about. It's our core value. And yeah, in our dirt bikes, they are ready to race, especially the 2016s. There's nothing that will touch them, and I'm quite confident about this.
And here they are. These are the 2016 KTM models already in Rad's showrooms. But Donovan, we're halfway through 2015, and yet we've got the 2016 models. What gives there?
It's called marketing, and it's very clever. No, literally, that's how it works, is that if they'd said, right, these are the 2015 models, everyone would go, well, what's going on? But it'd be clever, halfway through the year, let's say they're next year's, then everyone else looks out of date. Quite
Okay.
genius,
So it's a
actually.
cynical marketing ploy.
Exactly.
All right, but let's touch on something that we saw in that piece. 10% less and 10% more weight
Yes.
and power.
Yes.
Really?
Mad, isn't it? Think
ridiculous.
about modern day superbikes, the top of the range superbikes. If they were to do that now, a BMW would weigh 160 kilograms and be 220 horsepower. It would basically be a MotoGP bike.
Sure.
It's just
It is incredible. So the 450, we've got a 100 kilogram bike with 62 brake
100 kilogram
horsepower.
bike with 62, but the big thing is 100 kilogram. I mean, 100 kilograms, that's what little 250 tiny little bikes weighed back in the old days. Now they've got these 450 monsters weighing that. It's just, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Now, I did notice that you didn't have a ride yourself. You left it all to Grant.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm a giving person. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm absolutely terrified of that sort of thing. It's all to do with let him ride, yes. Let him
Well,
take all the
on
glory.
that note of cowardice, we'll go to an ad break. Afterwards, we swap dirt for the track.